Hey, and welcome to another episode of Capital City Sports, your source for Gamecock athletics. I'm Ed Cahill.
And I'm Taniqua Penix. It's been an exciting week in Gamecock sports. So Ed, why don't you give us the rundown?
Well, Taniqua, the men's basketball team is flying high. We'll catch you up on everything going on in Gamecock basketball.
And Coach Steve Spurrier introduced all his new coaches as well as his new recruits.
And baseball season is just a few weeks away. We'll have a look at their brand new facility as well as how the team is shaping up. But first on Capital City Sports, men's basketball. Coach Darren Horn and his squad have upset quite a few ranked opponents this season and are in the mix among SEC contenders.
Our very own Corey Burkhardt gives you all the details at the Colonial Life Arena.
All right, thank you guys. That's right, I'm at the Colonial Life Arena. Now, last week the Gamecocks beat Florida. They beat Ole Miss to win back-to-back SEC games for the first time since the 2006-2007 season. Last Wednesday night, the Gamecocks were at home hosting the Vanderbilt Commodores. Could the Gamecocks make it 3 in a row? Let's send you now to the highlights.
Vanderbilt Commodores visiting Colonial Life Arena. Gamecocks lost 5 in a row to Vandy, but this game was another story. Dominique Archie's going to get the scoring started with this three-pointer. Gamecocks get to an early 3-2 lead. Devin Downey throws this pass up, and Sam Muldrow is going to go and get it. The alley-oop. Gamecocks, they started hot, but Vandy was able to hang around. Brad Tinsley hits this tray. 8-9 Vandy early on. Gamecocks, they're going to start to break away in this one. Zam Frederick knocks down a three, something he's been doing all season long. Then McClellan's going to have trouble with the inbound. Rayleigh Ross is going to take it the other way. He'll take all 3 of those. Ross finished the night with 12 points. USC went on a 14-0 run there. Then Zam Frederick's going to do his best Devin Downey impersonation, dumping it underneath for Austin Steed. He gets the easy lay-in. But remember this name, Jeffrey Taylor. It's a huge slam. We're going to be seeing him for a couple years. Gamecocks are up 12 at half, but Vandy comes roaring back. Taylor gets 3 the hard way. He scored 23. Tinsley's 3 makes it a 1-point game, and Vandy would eventually take the lead until this. Dominique Archie with a huge swat, and Devin Downey takes it the other way. Spin move in the lane, hits the short jumper. Going to be all USC from there. Devin Downey underneath to Muldrow for 2. 59-49 Gamecocks at that point. And Downey's almost going to force a steal here, but more importantly, he is pumped up. The crowd getting into it. All momentum going in the Gamecocks' direction. Sam Fred is going to take advantage of the zone D, knocking down 3. Exclamation point's going to come here. Devin Downey in transition, lays it in. Gamecocks go on to win this one 86-76. Cocky and the Garnet Army, they are loving it. 3 SEC wins in a row for the Gamecocks. Cameron Weiderman, Capital City Sports.
The Gamecocks have proved they can win big games at home, but they've struggled on the road against LSU and Tennessee. So could they pull out a win against the 24th ranked Kentucky Wildcats on the road? Jared Munch has the highlight.
Darren Horn and the Gamecocks looking to make it 4 straight SEC wins up in Rupp Arena, taking on Jody Meeks and the Kentucky Wildcats. Here started off, Devin Downey dishes to Mike Holmes underneath for the layup. Holmes will finish with 15 points and 8 boards. Then minutes later, Rayleigh Ross will inbound to Austin Steed, who gets it to Zam Frederick. He's going to drive here, pull up with the jumper, and it falls. Zam finishing with a team-high 24 points on the night. DeAndre Liggins at the end of the half, he's going to pull up like our own Justin Fabiano in intramural basketball. Hits the 3 right as the glass lights up to mark the end of the half. Kentucky takes a 37-36 lead. Now to the second half, here's the dish to Patterson. He would finish with the game-high 28 points. Sam Frederick, though, is going to pull up for 3, and he drains that, no problem at all. Pumped up. Now Patterson, he's going to dish to Jody Meeks. That's called a dime right there. Meeks making it fall afterwards, and Kentucky is taking control. And then Michael Porter and Perry Stevenson slicing up the Carolina defense. Gamecocks only down by 3 with 41 seconds left to go, and Dominique Archie gets that layup, pulling them within 1, and then with 3.2 seconds left, Devin Downey doing what he does at week in and week out, putting the Gamecocks ahead by 1, 78-77. Last second attempt for Jody Meeks, and it does not fall. Gamecocks get their 4th straight conference win. Here's Darren Horn after the game.
I guess it's not going to be boring if you're watching South Carolina play. I'm too young for that. I'm growing old fast, but great college basketball game. I mean, that's really what it was. A lot of guys on both teams just pouring their guts out and making play after play on both ends. We were fortunate that we made the last play, and we're able to get the win. It's obviously a very big win for our team and our program.
We'd like to thank Ryan from Sports Zone 50, our Kentucky affiliate, for the footage. It looks great. After the exciting win at Kentucky, the Gamecocks traveled down to Gainesville for a rematch with the Gators. Let's send it over to Mike Wadsworth for more.
Thanks, Munch. Just 13 days after the thriller in Columbia, USC and Florida are at it again, and the Gators were out early. Irvin Walker inside to Alex Tylas using the glass, and the Gamecocks would look to continue their solid SEC play. Evka to Muldrow for the flush. 6 minutes into this one, the game is tied at 13, but Zam, the Gator Slayer, for the three. This one will be back and forth for the rest of the half. Alex Tyas looking to impose his will, telling Dominique Archie, go back to Columbia. The Gators would get out to a 7-point lead with just 2 to go. The little man, Irvin Walker, hitting the three, but before the half ended, Devin Downey would have something to say. This long NBA three. At the half, it was 49 Florida, 45 for the Gamecocks. But the Gamecocks would close that gap early in the second half. Downey dropping it off to Muldrow for the dunk, but the Gamecocks would get in foul trouble. Muldrow with the foul here. Devin Downey would pick up one of his own right after that, and that would come to hurt them later on in this one. Chandler Parsons with the steal, and down the court, Walter Hodge trailing, draws the foul and gets the goaltend. This one will remain tight. Devin Downey bringing the wham. Gets it to Zam, and bam, 4-3. With 10 to go, we'd be squared at 72. The Gamecocks were able to draw the fouls, but they could not hit the free throws, and Florida was able to capitalize. They built a 9-point lead with under 2 minutes to go. Could the madness ensue once again? After hitting the three and getting the board, Downey sliced into the hoop for the lay-in. Florida would hit their free throws, but Devin Downey refuses to die. This ridiculous three goes down. Downey at it again. This man was out of his mind out there. Got the Gamecocks within 2. And Downey with the last chance. Could he do it again off the back of the iron? And Florida would escape this one with a 97-93 final. Mike Wadsworth, Capital City Sports.
The men's basketball team returns to the Colonial Life Arena on Saturday to face Georgia. The game starts at 5 o'clock, but the team needs your help at trying to sell out the arena. Since it's not Saturday yet, we'll send it over to Justin Fabiano for more basketball coverage.
Thank you, Taniqua, and welcome into the boardroom here on Capital City Sports. I'm Justin Fabiano. Corey Burkhardt is still on vacation in Gainesville, so I'm taking over his job today. Joining me is this guy, Michael Aguilar. You are the sports editor of the Daily Gamecock. Are you ready to talk some basketball?
I'm ready to talk some basketball, Fabs.
All right. Something I noticed is last season, this team had 7 losses by 3 points or less. This season, they are 3-2 in games decided by 3 points or less. Now, my boss and your former boss, Alex Riley, have decided that last year it was execution that caused the team to lose games. I said coaching. They said I was wrong, but now we have the same roster, new coach. So now that we're winning close games, is it a result of execution or coaching?
You can't argue with the fact that the only thing that's changed between this year's team and last year's team is the coaching staff, and you're seeing the results of that change. And so you definitely have to look to the top first and say that it's Darren Horn and the staff that he's brought in that's made this team different than last year's team in terms of their execution in close games.
Okay, and now against Kentucky, Devin Downey had 23 points, Zam Frederick had 24 points. You can't argue there's great guard play, but a lot of these points were scored in the second half. They haven't started very strong except for the Clemson game, so is it more important that they start strong or that they finish strong?
Once again, you can't argue with results, and this team has been on a hot streak of unbelievable proportions, something that this basketball program hasn't seen in a long time. And so if they're finishing strong and they're winning games, then that's what they've got to do to win games. And that's what, as a Carolina fan, you'd have to continue to see them to do.
Well, the Gamecocks are surely making a strong case for first NCAA bid since 2004. And late in the season, they get Kentucky and Tennessee at home, 2 of the better teams in the conference. So can the Gamecocks pull off the wins at the Colonial Life Arena And what's that going to say about their argument for a tournament bid?
Fabs, the way I see it is that there are 5 more important games for the Carolina. It's Alabama, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Florida. And if they can win 3 of those 5 games, then I think that they're going to definitely be one of the 3 or 4 SEC teams to go to the tournament. And so those home games against Tennessee and Kentucky are definitely important. And winning at least one of those games is necessary for them to guarantee themselves a spot in the tournament.
Okay, well, let's look a little bit closer in the schedule. The Gamecocks got Georgia Saturday. Darren Horn's trying to sell out the arena. So will the arena sell out, and give me a score?
I think the arena will definitely sell out. Carolina fans are loving to see some success after after football struggled so much. And score-wise, I think the Gamecocks will probably be able to win by upwards of 15.
All right, Ags, it's my first time hosting the boardroom since Corey's gone on vacation, so I want you to tell me, how did I do?
Fabs, I mean, perfection.
Well, thank you. We're going to take a quick break. Later in the show, Ed Cahill will join us to talk about football recruiting. But for Michael Aguilar, I'm Justin Fabiano. We'll see you in a little bit.
Up next in the show, Steve Spurrier talks recruiting. We'll have a look at how this year's class is shaping up.
And men's basketball wasn't the only sport playing. The women's team took on LSU without their star players. We'll see if they could pull off the upset. All that and more coming up next.
Welcome back to Capital City Sports. While football season may be over, the hype never ends.
That's right, Ed. Coach Spurrier had a press conference yesterday where he introduced all new coaches and was talking recruits. Justin Fabiano has more on this year's signing day.
It was a dismal end to the 2008 season, but since then a lot has changed in the Gamecock locker room. Coach Steve Spurrier signed 6 new coaches, but the big thing yesterday was recruits. The Gamecocks have close to a top 10 recruiting class after signing day ended yesterday.
Right now, I think I saw on the TV it was ranked 12th in the country by ESPN, and that's probably pretty fair.
Part of the reason this class is ranked 12th in the country is because they were able to keep South Carolina talent in the state of South Carolina.
I think it's interesting to note this year might have been one of the best years ever for in-state players. In-state, trying to keep our players here at the University of South Carolina.
So you talk about keeping in-state talent in the state of South Carolina, but just exactly who are these big names in the state of South Carolina we're talking about?
Stephon Gilmore, the Player of the Year here in the state of South Carolina. He and his teammate Fonte Holloman are in school.
Well, that's great. These two guys, Gilmore plays quarterback, Holloman plays defense, but the team really struggled in the running game. So who exactly did they bring in to help that part of the game out?
Jarvis Childs, the running back from Tampa, who's also in school, was also a big pickup for us to keep the ball rolling.
We'll see if these guys can get the ball rolling come springtime. But until then, I'm Justin Fabiano, Capital City Sports.
Well, you just heard from the head ball coach. Well, now we'll send it over to the boys in the boardroom. Let's send it over to Justin Fabiano.
Thank you, Taniqua, and welcome back into the boardroom. I'm Justin Fabiano, filling in for the regular Corey Burkharth. He's still on mini vacation down in Gainesville. Joining me is Ed Cahill, our host and recruiting expert. He follows recruiting like no other. Ed, thank you for joining me.
Not a problem, Fabs.
We're going to get right into it. Another possible top 10 recruiting class for Steve Spurrier and the Gamecocks. How is that going to compare to other teams in the SEC?
Well, the thing you look at when you first look at this class is how we've kept all this in-state talent in the state of South Carolina and away from Clemson University. You look at Devontae Holloman, he's a national recruit, could have played anywhere in the country. He chose to stay at home in South Carolina. Demario Jeffrey, another highly touted safety. He's an athlete, he's gonna contribute right away if he can recover from his injury. We keep him in state, and then we go out and get Stephon Gilmore, one of the most electric players you'll ever see at the high school level. All-American in high school, he's gonna be a contributor here, and again, we keep him in state.
All right, well, let's talk about Gilmore. I got to see him play at South Point, covering for my boy Bob Shields. I love you, Bob. He was just electrifying.
Now, what kind of role is he going to have here at South Carolina?
Well, you look at the tape, and in high school, you're going to play your best athlete at quarterback. And so Stephen Gilmore had the ball in his hands all through high school, took his team at Rock Hill to the state championship. You see him with the ball in your hands, and you can't help but hope that he's going to touch the ball here on offense for Steve Spurrier. But the way it's looking at Ellis Johnson watching the play on defense, he recruited him. That's a big reason he's coming here is Ellis Johnson's scheme and his plans for him. So you can probably see him slotted as a cornerback. They may put him in there at some offensive, wide receiver, run some reverses for him, maybe throw him in there at kind of like a wildcat formation. You can really get a good feel of how they're going to play with him. If you look at Macho Harris, the senior cornerback out of Virginia Tech, the way they use him on offense and defense will be a good barometer for how we use Gilmore.
Okay, well, let's talk about the quarterback situation. This university lost Chris Melly, so Spurrier went out and got kind of a low-key guy in Andrew Clifford, another Tampa guy. Talk about him. He hasn't gotten very many offers here.
Well, Coach Spurrier, again, didn't want to sign a quarterback in this class. We've got Steven Garcia, a redshirt freshman. He's going to have time to develop. When Chris Melly left, he was kind of left in a scramble to go out and find someone. Now, Taj Boyd was a 4-star recruit. Now committed to Clemson. Many saw we had interest in him. He may be coming here, but Spurrier, for some reason, looked at the tape, didn't even offer the quarterback, 4-star guy. He's an all-star. He was MVP of the Army All-American game. So he finds this diamond in the rough in Tampa, Andrew Clifford, and threw 20 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Spurrier thinks he's going to be good. He can develop. He was in a running offense in high school, so Spurrier hopes he can bring him in here as kind of a project, work him under Garcia, and maybe be the quarterback for the future.
All right, we got another running back recruit, Jarvis Giles, but with the recruiting class, is this going to translate into wins in competitive play, or are we going to have to wait a few years to see this team develop?
Well, along with all these incoming newcomers, you got to see that the incoming staff is a big change. We got 6 new coaches coming in, along with all these players. I can make a prediction that some of these guys are going to contribute next year. These in-state guys that are already in school, Giles, Holloman, Gilmore, they're going to come in and they're going to do some work for us, but it's not going to translate into wins right away. When that big class we had a couple years ago, top 10 class, when they're seniors and these guys are sophomores, then you might expect to see a 9-10 win season out of South Carolina.
Okay, Ed, thank you very much. We're out of time here on the Boardroom. We're going to take a break, but don't miss the rest of the show, and we'll see you here on the Boardroom next week.
Lady Gamecocks taking on LSU at home this past weekend. Steve Spurrier checking out the action. Sharnae Stevens gets the scoring started for the Gamecocks. She gets the offensive rebound and the putback. But LSU came into this one and they played great early on. Lysandra Bennett gets this lay-in to go. And then running the court is Andrea Kelly, who's going to pass this one off to the freshman Hightower. She finishes in the lane. Dawn Staley, she is not happy. She sees her team go down 22-7 only a few minutes into this one. Her senior CJ Pace, she knocks down a 3 here. Dawn Staley loves to see that. And then Sharnae Stevens going to battle down low and get that layup in. Lakeisha Sutton, she had a great game. She's going to knock down that 3. She scored a game-high 19 points. Gamecocks go down 31-22 at half. Lakeisha Sutton's going to pick up right where she left off. Drives a lane. That's a tough shot to knock down. Courtney Newton gets open for 3 on this one. She drains it. Gamecocks fighting back a little bit. Sutton again. Spin move. Knocks down another tough shot. Taylor Turnbow keeps LSU in it with this turnaround, Jay. 53-39 Tigers at that point, but CJ Pace asking for the ball behind the arc. Knocks down a 3-pointer. That starts the Gamecocks comeback. Lakeisha Sutton getting into the lane again. This time 3 defenders can't stop her. A nice finish for Lakeisha Sutton. With the injuries to Breonna Dickerson and Demetris Adams, CJ Pace had to pick it up, and she did. Another runner in the lane, 2 of her 11 for the game. Here's her final 3-pointer. Gamecocks mount a huge comeback. Deficit is cut to 5 late. Gamecocks fired up, but too much LSU. Hightower again. The runner in the lane is going to fall, and so do the Gamecocks by a score of 63-56. With that loss, the ladies are now 9-11 on the season and 1-6 in SEC play. Cameron Widerman, Capital City Sports.
Up next on the show, the baseball team moved into its new home. We'll have an up-close look at the new stadium and the new team.
Plus, the equestrian team took on the number 2 ranked Texas A&M. Could the Gamecocks outride the Aggies? Find out next.
Welcome back to the show. The Gamecock baseball team lost a lot of power last year, but they got a new stadium this year. Justin Fabiano was at the new facility, and he has a look at the Gamecocks' new crib and their new team.
The baseball team has finally moved into their new stadium, but they're still outside the preseason top 25 for the first time since 1997. Coach Ray Tanner says things haven't changed inside the Gamecock dugout despite not being ranked.
The expectations stay the same. We've got some guys without resumes. We got some things maybe that are unproven with this team, but the expectations remain the same. We've got to put a team together that can compete in this conference and hopefully good enough to play at the end of the year.
Yeah. Last year, those expectations were to rely on the long ball, but this year they're going to rely on the fastball.
One thing I'm encouraged about is I think our pitching depth is better. We've got some guys back that have been hurt in the past that seem to be healthy.
I think our pitching is going to be fine. We have a good mixture of older guys and new guys, so it's going to be good. The freshmen pitch well, and some of the JUCO guys pitch well. And
the pitching staff had its struggles in 2008 as they posted more than a 4 ERA. Now this year they look to be a little bit better, but still there's only one thing for certain.
Still, you got to pitch. If you pitch, keep the ball down, you'll be fine.
The pitchers may be fine, but this offense probably won't give them as much run support as they did a year ago. And that means, with a loss of power from last year's lineup, there'll be fewer balls going out that way.
You know, we think we're going to hit a few home runs. How many, we don't know.
Obviously, we probably may not have the power numbers that we had last year, but, I mean, I believe we're going to knock the ball around a little bit.
But I think we'll probably, you know, run the bases a little more aggressively. I think we'll probably play a little bit more small ball.
I don't necessarily want to say we're going to play more small ball. I mean,
well, small ball or no small ball, this team scored 443 runs a year ago and still didn't make the College World Series. So what's going to have to change this season?
Somebody's going to have to step up this year, and hopefully it's going to be somebody, and hopefully it'll be me, and whoever it is, I hope they lead us to the World Series.
So we just got to go out and play well, and we think we're going to be a pretty good team, so just go out and play well and win some games, and everything will work out.
Well, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter what these guys lost a year ago. The only thing that does matter is that they're going to be ready to play this season.
We lost a lot last year, and we have a lot to prove.
In the fall, I think we actually hit more home runs this year than we did last year. So if they can bring that to the season, then we don't really have to worry about what we lost.
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit with the team. You know, a lot of people are counting us out because we lost a lot of those big names last year, but you know, I believe we're going to have a great team.
Well, we're going to see how high the sky goes for this team February 21st as the Gamecocks take on Duquesne right here in Columbia. From the Gamecocks' brand new baseball facility, Justin Fabiano, Capital City Sports.
The Gamecocks are ranked 7th in equestrian, and they took on second-ranked Texas A&M. Could the Gamecocks outride the Aggies? Jared Munch has more for your equestrian coverage.
This is second-ranked Texas A&M Aggies coming to Onewood Farm in Blythewood to take on the 7th-ranked Carolina Gamecocks. On the western side, USC would fall short 2-3 in the horsemanship event earlier, but on the Hunter Seat side, they took the equitation on flat 5-0 in the sweep. Megan Massaro getting the MVP with a score of 87. Now to the fences, Carolina already has 7 points. Another 4 points would give them a clinching win before they even got to the reining to finish out the competition. Here's the Aggies, Lindsey Smith. She gets 76 points here, and that would just edge out USC's Nicole Bourgeois, who had 75. Now, the aforementioned MVP in the equitation over flat, Megan Massaro, the junior from Somerville, Florida, she would do it again and over the fences, getting a score of 85. That's another MVP in that event, and the Hunter Seat is carrying this Gamecock team. They would take the win, those magical 4 points over fences, and that gives them the 11 out of 20 already before the reining even took place. But we're going to go to it anyways here. Ride it, slide it, spin it, and win it, hopefully for the Gamecocks. Haley Thornton here, she was doing plenty of riding, although she would fall short with only 50 points. Here she is showing a little more of that sliding, and then you guessed it, spinning. But the Western Riders in reining would not win it. Carolina still with a 13-7 victory over the second-ranked Aggies. USC travels on Saturday, February 7th to #1 in the nation, Auburn. Jared Munch, Capital City Sports.
All right, well that's going to do it for us this week here at Capital City Sports. Be sure to tune in next Thursday night at 8 for a brand new episode.
And if you missed any of our show or just want to see us again, hit us up at capitalcitysports.blip.tv.
Or you can catch us on iTunes. Just search Capital City Sports and download us to your iPod. For Taniqua Penix, I'm Ed Cahill. We'll see you next week.